Okay. So 3-8 homework. We're on page 148. Off life goes. So first thing you have to do is read the paragraph and recognize there's two ordered pairs involved. I suggested yesterday you make a table. I think that's good advice. What can you do once you have the two ordered pairs? Anytime you have two ordered pairs in this chapter, find the slope. So that's the first name of the game here on number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, any of these is find the slope. So let's exchange that information. 1, did you get a slope figured out?
No.
Okay. Try to figure out the slope on 1, and I'll get back with you. 2, did you get a slope figured out?
2, I got 3 over 20.
It is 3. It is 3 over 20. It could also be 0.15. If you'd rather go decimals instead of fractions, that's a fair thing. Either way, I'm good with that. 3, did you get a slope?
No.
Okay. Get a slope. I'll get back with you. 4, did you get a slope?
Negative 3 over 400.
It is negative 3 over 400. If you like decimals better, it's negative 0.0075 would be fine. 5, did you get a slope?
No.
Okay. We'll try you. 5, did you get a slope?
I didn't know how to do anything.
Okay, well let's say this for you two. On 5, try to get a slope. And you guys could work cooperatively or competitively or whatever you want to do. But we'll try to do a slope. The years are always the x's or the y's?
X.
X's. The years are the x's and the other numbers are the y's. So you'll want to subtract the y's, that'll get you a top. Subtract the x's, that'll get you a bottom. And that's what we want to try to work on to get our slopes figured out. Just in case, is there anybody that needs a primer of how to do slopes, period? Anybody need a rewind to that? What do you think for 1? You there yet? Still going?
Got no clue.
Okay. On 1 they spotted you the ordered pairs. Use the 0.72 and the 20.75. Do you see those?
Oh yeah.
Use those 2 data points. Are you okay to compute slope?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just get me a slope. I'll be back around. 3, get a slope yet? Still working it?
1/5.
It is 1/5, or you could go 0.2. That's kind of like up to you. 4 or 5 a slope yet? Or 5 a slope yet from anybody? Circling back to 1.
3 over 20.
It is 3 over 20 for the slope, yes. I agree with that. So then brief conversation while people are thinking about 5. 1 should have a positive slope. It did. It was 3/20ths. Because what's happening with life expectancies over time? They're going longer. It's going bigger numbers. So that should be a positive slope, and it was. 2 was more life expectancies, so that's positive sloped again. 3, the demand for natural gas has been rising, so that was another positive slope. 4, when we got it figured out, it was a negative slope because the running records, the time it takes to run certain length races, that's going down. People are getting faster and breaking the records. So 4 had a negative slope. What type of slope should 5 have, anybody, once we do get it?
Negative.
Should be a negative slope because the records are coming down some more. So again, what we want to do is be subtracting the years. That's going to be the bottom of the slope. And then subtract the other numbers. That's the top for the slope, and there's like 2 data points in there.
I thought negative 3 over 40.
Yeah, that's a win. 5 slope is going to be negative, and it's 3 over 40. That is true. If you prefer decimals, it's negative 0.075. That's step 1 on these problems is you've got to find a slope. He answered instead of you. Are you okay to get the slope, or do you need help with how he's saying it's negative 3/4?
I just got 40 over 3.
Okay, you're upside down. It's always the y's are on the top. And in this case, the y's are the other numbers. The x's are always on the bottom. The x's will always be the years.
Thought the Y's were always supposed to be the years.
No, the x's are the years. Maybe I did. I misspeak at some point.
I don't know.
We don't think so. Maybe I did. I don't know. We'll benefit of the doubt. But the years will be the x's. Is that okay then? Slopes?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's step one. Anybody messed up step one? Slopes. There's no answers yet. That's just a step. Then I can't really tell you what the answer is because we had a debate yesterday. If, let's say, 1920 was a year and 1940 was a year, and you just use those years, you're going to get a very different equation than people who did a change. What was the change that the book was suggesting that I showed you? You could do, but didn't have to do.
Make the first year 0.
Make the first year 0. And then how would you adjust all the other years after that?
Make the second one 20.
This one would be 20, yeah. How
20
did,
years later.
what math are you doing? Add, subtract, multiply, divide.
Subtract.
We're going to subtract. You'd subtract off the year that you made a 0, you could subtract off from every other year. If you find that confusing, don't do that. If you found that easier when I did the example problem yesterday, then do that. But if you want to just use the years as is, you could. But depending on whether you do or don't use that trick, you are or aren't going to get the answer that's in the back of the book or the answer that's in my answer book. But for 1A, what should absolutely happen is you get y equals that 3/20 x plus something, okay? But whether that's the answer that the back of the book has because they do that trick, or if it's a different answer because you don't do that trick, toss up. In my book, I have both answers. I have the way they did it by making the bottom 0, and I have the answer if you don't, and I could give those to you for people who did it and care and want to check them, but it seems like we got kind of hung up on this. But how we're getting to that point is writing an equation. What do we use to write equations all the time? How do we do it?
Y minus y.
Y minus a number that they would give you, one of those data point numbers, equals
Slope.
the slope, which we all just agreed on, x minus
A number.
some kind of number they give you. And if you made that 0 thing, you'd get a 0 here, and your math is simpler. If you left the 1900 whatever here, those numbers get kind of bigger before they get kind of smaller again. But we get some kind of equation with y equals somebody x from the slope and a number there. Does anybody need help making that bounce from where we had slopes? If you get that far, then it's just a matter of plugging in numbers. If they give you a year, the years all plug in for the x's, and you just do math. If they give you the other number, that goes in for y, and you're going to have to solve that and do some opposites. You can just drop that on the folder over there. Thank you. But I'll read you some stuff if you want it. For 1B, whether you do the 0 trick or not, we'll all end up back in the same point in the end. The life expectancy should continue to rise, so there's a 77.85, which slightly disagrees with the back of the book. So if you slightly disagreed and you agree with me now, you're better than them. And then it's a 78.3. For 2, we're rising a little bit more. So we left off, there was a 68 they said in the paragraph, there's a 70.7, and then it goes up a little more to 71.75. That is true that women live longer than men, and I'm not going to make any jokes about why, because I'd get in trouble being a man. 3, it's going to go up to, you don't have to work in the quadrillion. Okay, does anybody even know quadrillion, what that even is? Like, where does quadrillion fall on the number scale?
After trillion.
It's after trillion. How many zeros are in a trillion?
12,
12. So quadrillion would have 15. You don't have to add 15 zeros on these. You can just deal with the 20 and the 22s. That's fine enough. And just use the word quadrillion and not actually add 15 zeros onto these answers. But B is going to keep rising up to a 27.4 and then a 30. 4, we're going to be falling. There's a 3.445 and a 3.4075. And then the year that the prediction would happen would be 2004 based on what they did. 5, we're hoping for a 42.3, a 41.55, and then the year was going to be a 2021, and then we just like shut it down.
For number 4, what was the year?
2004.
I got 2003.
Okay, did you get a 2003 point something?
No.
Okay. Because anything we get with a decimal, you're going to have to round it up. So, did you have it as, what was your equation? Y equals negative 0.0075 kind of stuff plus,
3.85.
okay. So, you'd plug the 3.3 in for Y, so why don't we just push some buttons together, you and I, and see what happens. So we would do the 3.3 minus the 3.85. So I'm showing a negative 0.055. I would divide by a 0.0075. And that's showing me up 73.3.
Yeah.
Okay, round that up to 74.
Okay.
Because what that means is, if we had like 73.1, it means 73 years got completed. Happy New Year, the ball dropped, and we're 0.1 into like January. This 73.3 means 73 full years have passed, the ball dropped, Happy New Year, and we're into like March or April. We're like well into, it's at the beginning of the year still, but we're into that 74th year. So treat that as a 74. Add that on to the 1930, and that's the 1 year difference is because even though math would say you're under 5, so round down, the calendar says no, the new year started a little bit. We've got to
Okay.
go on to the next year. If we had like a 73.9, we're into like December of the next year then. That makes sense? Yeah,
Can you set up the equations for like 4C and 5C?
yeah.
I
So,
messed those up somehow. I got everything else right, but I messed those up.
okay, on 4A, what was your last number? Was it plus 3.85
Yeah.
or was it, okay, so
Yeah.
you did this reset to 0. Okay, so what you would do on 4B is just grab a calculator and go negative 0.0075 times 54 years later is where we are, plus the 3.85, and it should pop 3.445.
No, I got those right. I'm talking about like C.
Oh, and C,
like
okay,
C,
okay. So
like that
C, all right, yeah, C you'd go 3.3 where Y is, so 3.3 equals negative 0.0075 plus 3.85. Wait, I didn't say T, or Y, or X, or a letter. They were doing T's instead of X's for some reason. But you'd go 3.3 equals negative 0.0075 X plus 3.85. If you had a fraction there, you're probably going to do better to turn the fraction into a decimal by just dividing it early on. Like for the slope, did you have it as 0.0075 or did you have it as a fraction?
Negative 3 over 4.
Yeah. I think you'll do better to just divide 3 by 400 and have the .0075 version of that. It's just easier to punch it in later. Then what you would do with opposites is the 3.3 would subtract the 3.85. Then you'd have to divide by the slope, which I think is easier as a .0075, because dividing fractions is a hassle. And that'll show up as 73.333333. Are you there?
I think, yeah, I was just confused. Wait. Oh, okay, I figured out where. Okay, I get it.
Are you good?
Yeah, I get it now.
Did you eavesdrop on the conversation I had about 73.3 has to round up to 74,
Yeah, I got that.
and then add that onto the base year.
Yeah.
5 should be about the same. 5 would start off 40 equals,
Okay,
and
figured
then
it out,
use the equation you had in A and just do some opposites.
yeah, I was just letting it wrong.
Okay. Yeah, the years go in for X. The other number goes always in for Y. Can I help anybody else improve your 1 to 5 life? Yeah.
I'm still like very lost on what to do after you get the slope. Like that's the one thing I need help to do.
Okay. So, did you like or dislike the idea of changing the bottom year to 0?
I did that.
You like that?
Okay.
So what you have is a setup of y. All of these problems would go y minus whatever number that is equals the slope that we agreed on, and then in parentheses, when you reset the year to 0, you could write x minus 0.
Or you could just like
You just write an X.
slope and X.
And then to get this y equals, it'll always be y equals the slope that we agreed on, the x, and then add over whatever number, depending on the story, whatever number that is from the paragraph. Are you with that?
Yeah.
That's what all the part A's are. All the part A's are y equals slope x plus number. And if you set the bottom year to 0, that number is always just there unchanged.
Okay. I got it. So yeah, part A done.
So you're okay with that?
Yeah, that's the answer for 5 for part A. Y equals negative 3 over 40.
Yeah.
And then plus 46.8.
X plus 46.8, yeah. Get an x after the slope, but yeah.
Yeah.
Then for all of the b's, you take the year, which you would have to make that little adjustment to all the years. Make the little adjustment to the year and plug the year in for x. So something times the adjusted year plus the number you just got. I think it's going to be maybe easier to turn those fractions into decimals
Yeah,
at the
that's what I was
beginning.
planning on
If you have a calculator that does fractions, then life goes on, but you don't want to be multiplying fractions, and that's not fun. So like for 5, first one to be, you'd reset the 1990 to a 60. So you'd go negative .075 times 60 adds 46.8, and it should shoot you 42.3. You good on that?
Yeah.
And then the 2000, you just throw in a different year, but do the same kind of math. Think you're okay on the B's?
I think.
Do you want me to talk about
Can you give
C's,
me
or
a-
do you want to let it soak in?
Like a calculator to use mine for some reason. I'll turn it on.
Do you want to absorb the B's for a second, or you want me to
Yeah,
talk
let me,
about
like,
C's?
make
All
sure
right,
I
we'll
got
talk about C in a few seconds then. Anybody else want to talk about some 1 to 5s while he's digesting the B information? Reminder of just schedule of events upcoming, just while we're doing it. We got a weekend coming now, so when we come back Monday, what's due on Monday?
Like the practice quiz.
Yeah, the practice quiz, the littler sheet. We'll take that quiz Tuesday. Practice test, the bigger sheet that includes some graphing. Grab some graph paper if you need it. Would be Wednesday. Test would be Thursday. Any book pages from chapter 3 would be due by Thursday because the grade period then ends Friday. If you have quizzes and such to fix, things like that, that would be due by Friday. The stuff we take next week would not be due to fix by Friday. The quizzes we take next week would be part of the future grade period, but anything you have already in your hands, that needs to be fixed by next Friday. Checking in on you now, is the B okay?
Yeah, I think I get the logic, but so making like the fraction a decimal, do you go
3 divided by 40.
Let me see.
So 0.075.
Oh, I did the opposite.
Okay. And then remember it
And
was
then, yeah.
negative. Don't lose track of the negative. So y equals negative 0.075
Then
x
times that by
plus.
the year.
Yeah, so you'll multiply negative 0.075 by your adjusted year, which is like 60, 70, whatever that is.
Okay, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
You ready for C then?
Yeah, I'm ready for
Okay, so C, they're giving you the other number. So you're not putting that in for X like you do the years. Years go for X. The other number goes for this. So you put, for 5C, you'd go 40 equals stuff and have that number, and then start doing some opposites. So this is an adding number, so you'd subtract. You'd go 40 minus the 46.8, and you get that resolved. Then what will you have to do with the slope to solve for X?
Would you times it by 40?
It is multiplying. So you're looking at, I think you're looking at 40 equals negative 0.075 X plus 46.8. I think that's where we are for yours.
That's what it
Okay. So you're just doing like, hey, it's algebra 1 again, we're just doing some opposites. So you see adding, so you're going to subtract the 46.8.
negative 6.8.
Agreed. And then what do you have to do to get rid of that?
Do the opposite.
Yeah, which is to
Divide.
divide by a negative 0.075. And that's going to show up, I'm going to say 90 and some change.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
what I got.
Anything with a decimal, you're going to have to round it up. Were you listening when I was talking to her about that? Okay, so no matter what there is, even if it's a 0.001, we're into the new year.
91.
So round it up to 91, and then you have to add that on to since we tweaked the years, you have to add that on to the year that was our starting
Okay,
year.
thank you.
Does that work? You good? All right. Anybody else, anything I can do 148 to help you feel a little bit more settled in? Seemed like that was a little bit of a struggle. That often is. Anytime there's a story that's in a paragraph, it like wigs people out. Anything more I can do? Okay, so we can hit the stop on that. We'll take our vocabulary quiz. We got stuff due next week, and that's pretty much a wrap. We don't need